Hello, my friends of the Psychedelic Renaissance. This is Cresemi the Lionheart. I'm Tom Hatsis, your psychedelic historian, and this is the Medicine Diaries, Episode 2. So I took Gaia's advice and I ate more mushrooms this time. I had 5 grams, which is popularly called a hero dose, although I've actually never been much of a fan of the term hero dose. It's a little too self-congratulating and a little macho for my taste. So moving forward, I'll call it 5 grams, or sometimes I refer to it as a goddess dose, but they're kind of all goddess doses, so, we'll just 5 grams or goddess dose, whatever. And, I did the same invocation, the same set and setting that I did in my previous video with the invocation 3 times. But since I was going a little deeper this time, I added something that I'll read very quickly. I wrote after doing the invocation 3 times and all the other things and the burning all the sacred plants and everything in Gaia's honor and name. I also said, "Sweet goddess, I have returned, doing my best to carry your lessons. I sought deeper wisdom, and you called me to go deeper. I seek stronger love, so allow me into your palace again. I ask for knowledge of the medicine, so teach me how to listen to the plants. I trust in your love. I trust in your wisdom. I trust in your guidance. I trust you." Now, the first thing to say about this particular journey was that my ego stayed completely intact, in that I recognized who I was. I had no loss of self. I knew where I was. I recognized that I was a person in communication with Gaia, with an outside source, with the goddess Duotero Omnium. So it had me thinking that while ego death is definitely something to seek after, and it's definitely an interesting space to be, I don't necessarily believe that you need to experience ego death in order to have a breakthrough experience. I mean, everything about the experience I'm about to lay on you was very much breakthrough, but there was no ego death whatsoever. So what happened was I was back in the palace, but the only way I could describe it was I was standing behind the machinery of heaven, in that I was like inside the walls of the palace looking out, like if you were, in a wall or something, or as they say, the cliche, a fly on a wall, but imagine the fly is actually inside the wall and part of the wall looking out into the rooms. So it was really interesting. Now, one of the more beautiful moments, and this moment lasted for all eternity, I should say, but Eden came home and we were just snuggling together. And then Cresemi came into the room and she was snuggling with me too. So I had Cresemi on my left side, purring her little head off, and I had Eden on my right. I was just holding her and we kissing each other all over. And Gaia was just raw dog fucking me up the ass and just filling me with her love. It was amazing. And I could actually see Eden's soul and I could see Cresemi's soul and I could see their love. And for me, that was really important because I've kind of been starved for love in life. I didn't receive a lot of affection as a child, so I have a lot of trust issues. And this was just like I was able to actually see that there was no pretense behind Eden or Cresemi. Like they both just, for some reason, they truly love me. And I could see it. Like, when you could see somebody's soul, a soul can't lie. And, when you're in that space, you can't, there's no, it really truly is just universal love and cosmic love, and so much so that I entered back into the forgiveness room, or rather, I was the wall looking out into the forgiveness room, and that was really, really important for me because I actually found a place. I hung out in the room for a while, and I found a place where I not only was able to forgive myself, which is for me a very difficult thing to do, but I actually saw where I could forgive that person who I mentioned in my first video, who actually, kind of started this whole thing for me, really. I found a place where I could forgive her. Now, I haven't actually done that yet. I've still not forgiven her, but it was definitely a game changer for me to see that it is possible, because I could see like her hurt like that, and I felt really genuinely bad for her, and not like sometimes people are being sarcastic, like, "Oh, don't you just feel bad for that person?" It wasn't like that. Like really from the bottom of my heart, I felt so bad that this person just has this level of hatred, in her heart. I genuinely feel bad. And I'm hoping to go back to the forgiveness room again and really explore that space even more to see if I could, if it's possible to truly forgive her. And Gaia really wanted me to hang out in that space because I tried to enter the room of the purple line and it just wasn't happening. And I tried to enter the other rooms and it was like, no, 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 no. I need you to be a wall in the forgiveness room. And so that's what I did. And full disclosure, I was crying my eyes out for a lot of this, for a lot of the time I was in the forgiveness room, especially when I was viewing how I react to some people. Like when somebody comes after me, again, this stems back to not really having a loving, childhood or feeling affection in life or anything. So when I get attacked, I really attack back. And I saw just how really, terrible that was, and that, you can't do that. And just like I said in the previous video, you can't allow how people treat you to affect how you're going to not only treat them, but also other people, your loved ones and strangers. So I highly recommend spending some time in the forgiveness room if you are, decide to enter Gaia's palace one day. Now, one of the most truly remarkable aspects of the experience was when I got to meet angels and speak in what I call the Emerald language, which is the language of angels. And this is another one of those instances where people say, oh, weren't you making this up? Isn't this on your head? No, I would not have picked angels. Like, I think that's kind of cliche and almost a little lame, but that's what they were, and you couldn't mistake them for anything else. And what was really cool was for the first time, as I was able to bring back a word from the Emerald language. I mean, I've spoken to these kinds of angelic entities before under high doses of mushrooms or under ayahuasca, but I've never been able to retrieve one of those words because it's such a complicated language. But this is a very easy word to remember. And that word is chaleps. Chaleps is a general greeting that angels say to each other. It's also goodbye, but it's a little bit more than that as well. It's also a sign of love and friendship and like jovialty. Jovialty, jovialty, like it's just and jubilation. Like so, as just an example, how can we put this? Okay, so you know how like Smurfs use the term Smurf like as a verb for a lot of things, like we're gonna Smurf this house, we're gonna Smurf a party, we're gonna do this. Well, angels use the word chaleps like that in the sense that it's like if somebody says something funny, I guess so. It's not really like how Smurfs use Smurf. Okay, angels are a different kind of Smurf, is what I'm trying to say, in that they use the word chaleps in a different way that Smurfs use the word Smurf, but they still use it a lot, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, let's say one angel said something really funny, and the other one was just bursting out laughing, like, chaleps, chaleps, and they just kept saying that, and it was just a way of saying, yes, I agree, oh, this is wonderful, this is loving, this is companionship and friendship. So that is the first word that I've been able to actually pull back from that realm to this one. As above, so below. Chaleps. So one of the things I wanted to make sure I did this time was actually talk to my plants. If you recall from my last video, I said that Gaia was telling me, go talk to the plants, go talk to the plants. And I was just feeling kind of lazy and I was enjoying the visions too much that I didn't want to get up and do it. This time I absolutely got up and did it and was talking to my chacruna leaves and talking to my Banisteres capi and just kind of getting into a new relationship with them because I've never really spoken to them just as individual plants before. So all in all, this experience was a little different for at least two reasons from the last one. First and foremost, it was definitely a mushroom space. It was not like an ayahuasca space like the last time. Absolutely mushroom space. And the second was that I wasn't necessarily in Gaia's palace as I had become a part of Gaia's palace. And while it was interesting, I definitely prefer being able to move around all of the rooms with a little bit more autonomy, but obviously Gaia did have something to show me about forgiveness and why that's important. And my guess is that I'm probably still not done with the forgiveness room, but we'll see what happens next week when I take my next dose, and I'll let you know how it goes. Until next time, I'm Tom Hatzis, your psychedelic historian, saying Chalaps, my friends.